If we open this one up, there we go. Here we see one of the early, it's the first Detective Comics 27, Batman's first appearance. We see him revealed for the first time as Bruce Wayne. Danny, you've shown up, you're interested in talking about how superheroes dress when they're out of costume.
Well, it's superheroes, you think about the choice they make in terms of their costume and what the chevron will be or what the colors will be, but it's as much a choice as we all make when we decide what clothes we're going to wear. Believe it or not, I don't wear a Spider-Man tie every day. I thought it might be appropriate here. So it's very much which, again, goes back to which is the real them, which is the fake persona. I was thinking of it in terms of people who wear a suit and tie to work every day on the weekends will tend to dress very casually in jeans and T-shirts. Sort of that's their way of saying, this is the real me, that guy in the suit, he's just what I go to work as. Whereas, people, construction workers, people who do work with their hands or dirty work, on the weekend, will often dress up, and that's when they'll go out and put on, their best clothes or fancy clothes or showy clothes. In other words, that's, again, here's the real me. That guy who was paving that road or building that building is just, an aspect of me that I have to do to survive. So the superheroes, I think it alternates with them, which is the job and which is the free part of themselves. Say with Spider-Man, who I have some experience with, putting on the mask and the costume for Spider-Man liberates Peter Parker to be his true self, but it also makes Spider-Man a target for the police and for supervillains and for people who are scared of or have, or hate spiders. So it's a constantly shifting thing. Which is the responsibility part of the costume, and which is the freeing part and the weekend guy.
The character of Bruce Wayne has changed enormously over the years. And when he first appeared, I think he's presented as a playboy, isn't he? And bored. He goes down to police headquarters to talk to Commissioner Gordon, seemingly because he's got nothing better to do. Over the years, he's become more the responsible entrepreneur. Do you think that's reflected in the way the character's been depicted?
Well, I think that's very much a function of the society point of view. When you had the early comics, the Playboy was, in many ways, as unapproachable a fantasy as the superhero. This is magically, there are people out there with billions of dollars, or in those days, millions of dollars. I can be this, and then I can get to do all of what I want. And you had the balance back and forth between the two. Our heroic image has changed over the years from the sort of Gatsby-influenced iconography to what David Brooks was joking about our tribe as the alpha geeks a few weeks ago. And the Bill Gates of the world suddenly becomes a heroic image. Yes, he's a billionaire. Yes, he has his own plane and gets to go everywhere and do everything. But there's a point and a purpose to it. And that starts having an effect on what a Bruce Wayne has to become to be taken seriously. Because when he marches onto the movie screen with a blonde on one arm and a brunette on the other, it becomes, well, that's got to be a pose. Nobody who's tough enough to be Batman could possibly want to do that.
Well, we talked about iterations to different media. Here's a very different take on Batman and Robin from the 60s, which I guess even those of you who've never read comics are already familiar with. I don't know if I should say this at the Met, but I'm going to anyway. Peter, when I showed him that picture, said, "Oh, that's another Adam West boner in costume." But we won't go there.
He meant mistake. That's what he meant.
Forgive me. I just flew in a couple of days ago. That was one television iteration of Batman and Robin, and it's playful, isn't it? It's easy on the eye. It's not scary in the way that the earlier costumes are. But as we moved into the feature films, That's the Tim Burton movie. It's becoming more technological to me. It's more when we get on to talk about Iron Man. It's getting almost more like armor, not the kind of just thin cloth that the original Batman costume seems to be made of. Any thoughts on that from you?
Well, one of the most interesting moments in the ramp up to the Tim Burton was when they were casting Michael Keaton. Up until that time, the assumption had been that to play Batman, you had to have an athletic person. And remember the Warner Brothers executives getting on the phone to us saying, no, what we really need is we need someone with the acting power, with the fire in their eyes, and in the suit, it'll be fine. And he can pull it all off. And in fact, that connected with the audience, even though certainly at that point in his life, Keaton was viewed much more as a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
The costume is kind of toyetic. I know it would be incredible if somebody thought to make a toy out of these things or an action figure, but I mean, clearly it's designed, I would think, with that in mind. You
also probably have the moment there when any of the superheroes had the most effect on fashion, not in the high fashion sense, but in the form of what people were wearing. In the conjunction with the 1989 first Tim Burton movie, you couldn't buy any more black dyed cotton in this country or in England because the fashion madness about the bat symbol T-shirt had gotten so out of control. If you had any black cotton, you were in business.
That's true. I remember somebody who worked for DC in England getting a set of Batman T-shirts for our softball team, and it was like gold dust. Nobody else could get their hands on them. Then we come to the current, the Christian Bale Batman, even more technological. It strikes me that the suits are having to become more to resemble something that we might actually be able to create scientifically and to work as technology, to give a sense of credibility to a contemporary audience. Do you think there's anything in that?
Well, I think that's fair. I think as the special effects improve and as the audience is living in a time of great technological richness, they now feel they can see around the curve to how this might be plausible. The average viewer is much wiser. And the concept of nanotechnology is a word people read about in their newspaper instead of being something that 6 physics students somewhere off in a corner understand. We still may not really, as a civilian, understand what a carbon fiber really means. But we're closer to it, and we think we should understand that. So your pseudoscience has to get a little more real than when I was blowing up planets in the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, but that was good too.
There's also that...
Not for the people on the planets.
There's also the aspect of, I think, especially with modern weapons being so powerful, the idea that if you were a billionaire and you were going to become Batman, why would you not wear armor? Why would you just go around in cotton, the cotton suit?